this government shutdown. You saw the interview with Secretary Bessent. President Trump has called for an end to the filibuster. He says that's not the administration's position. He's also called for this direct subsidies to the American people to pay for health care. But he says that's not the official position of the government, of the administration either. He says it's just up to Democratic senators to turn around. Is that going to happen?
No, I certainly hope it isn't going to happen if millions of people are going to retain their health coverage and not have to pay these exorbitant premium increases. George, I'm hearing from people all over California, people with pre-existing conditions, people who tell me their premiums are going to go up $1,000 a month, that they're going to have to drop their coverage. They know that's really bad for them and their families. And we can easily estimate the millions of people that are going to lose access to quality care and the tens of thousands of lives that will be lost. So we need to end this. We proposed something, I think, very reasonable. It was a compromise. Certainly wasn't everything I want, which is a permanent extension of the tax credits. We said, let's extend existing law for a year, give us more time to work on this and reopen the government. And the result from the Republicans was, from the Senate Republicans, no. From the House Republicans, we're staying on vacation. And for the president, I'm going out to play golf. And that's where we are while people are hurting. And one thing that is just so shocking to me, George, in the midst of all this, they're appealing to the Supreme Court for the right to cut off food from people. Who does that? Who works so hard? Who goes all the way through the court system to cut food from people who need it right now? But that's where they're coming from. The cruelty is part of the policy.
How do you respond to the argument that the secretary made that, Senator Schumer was for a clean CR earlier this year? He's turned around for political reasons.
Well, we have a healthcare crisis that has intensified since then. And you've got people on the precipice right now who are getting those notices of losing their health insurance. And what's more, we have the president telling us now, Republicans telling us now, they're not going to honor any agreement we reach with them. They're telling us we'll put money in, whatever money we agree on for a continuing resolution to fund the government, but we're telling you in advance we are going to rescind the funding you want. We're going to cut the funding you want. We're going to cut what the president calls Democrat programs like food for people. So they're telling us they're going to cheat on an agreement. And we need, in whatever agreement we reach, to have some really solid guarantees in that legislation that they simply can't go and renege after it's done.
There have been some talks in the Senate between Republicans and Democrats trying to forge a possible compromise. Is Democratic unity crumbling on this?
No. I think what we're seeing is a lot of cracks within Republicans, as you see now over a dozen Republicans in the House, for example, say they want to fix the Affordable Care Act problems. Those are the cracks I'm seeing. You see cracks, I think, even within the White House, as the president acknowledges that their lack of focus on bringing down costs, the shutdown and all its economic impacts are affecting him. They're dragging him down. So I think what we're seeing from the Republicans is a recognition that they have a responsibility to govern. They control the White House, the House, and the Senate. The American people recognize that, and they need to solve this. And frankly, George, it's not going to happen until the president gets off the golf course, gets out of his ballroom planning, and sits down and negotiates. Otherwise, I think this is going to go on because Senate Republicans aren't going to do anything without the president's agreement and approval, and House Republicans are just content to stay away while people suffer.
The president did make this other proposal overnight, giving the money that goes to the subsidies directly to the American people. Can that work? Will Democrats support it?
We have no idea what the president means by that, except it sounds like what he means is the same old tired proposal of repealing the Affordable Care Act, giving people a benefit in the form of a health savings account, but allowing insurance companies once again to cancel policies and refuse to write policies for people who have pre-existing health conditions. So the same insurance companies he's railing against in those tweets, he is saying, I'm going to give you more power to cancel people's policies and not cover them if they have a pre-existing condition. That was one of the main problems the ACA helped address. So, no, I think what the president is revealing once again, more than 8 years after he came down that golden escalator, they still don't have a health care plan. They're still back to what Trump once called concept of a plan. And in the middle of a shutdown, when people are really hurting, we need more than concepts of a plan. Let's just extend the ACA for a year, reopen the government, and then we can negotiate a more permanent fix to this crisis in healthcare in this country.
When you were running for Senate, you came out against the filibuster. If that comes to the Senate floor, will you vote for it?
I have continued to oppose the filibuster and would be happy to do away with the filibuster. But the question is, do away with it for what reason? I would do away with it so that we can expand and protect people's freedoms and their rights. The Republicans and the president right now are talking about doing away with the filibuster so they can raise people's health care costs. That is the wrong reason to do away with a filibuster. And ultimately, what's going to protect the American people, frankly, are not Senate Republicans who give in to this president all the time, not House Republicans who are not even on the job, not the president, certainly not the Supreme Court, that is his biggest rubber stamp, but what we saw on Tuesday, and that is the voters coming out and rejecting Republicans, rejecting healthcare increased costs, rejecting a president who's more focused on his personal enrichment than he is on trying to help people who are hungry and working to try to keep their families afloat right now.
Senator Schiff, thanks for your time this morning.